Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number, I do not know off the top of my head here, 590 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. We have a really, really fantastic show for you today, kids and cubs. A little bit of a treat. And I must say, our most technologically advanced show ever. So hold on. It's going to be fun. Let's see what else. Today, recording day, yes, is
Thursday,
February 27th, 2025.
Erection Day.
Yes, Erection Day. It looks like it's going to be, and also Election Day. But every day should be Erection Day.
I brought that on myself, didn't I?
You did. You walked right into that. That's like what I posted the other day. People say I never get pulled, and it's like I got pulled, and then Dave Gray, who we have in from Alberta every now and then, goes, "Lucky you." And it's like, I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Somebody else went, "Did it hurt?" It's like, yeah, I deserve that too.
Well, I uncover the news here, posting on the screen. It's
yes.
This I saw this or I saw this transaction, conversation, whatever you want to call it. Doug Ford, I want to be premier forever.
Yeah,
he literally said that to a Trillium reporter.
Yeah,
and so I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
I don't.
No, you're not.
That's not funny. Why is my name changed? What the hell's going on here?
He's not kidding. He's not kidding. So yeah, looks like it's going to be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge, which is really nice. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Sorry, no. Sorry, PsychicTarot.com, if I remember correctly, because the name changed. And for those of you wondering, yes, I predicted it after curling my 100% game, my 2 matches yesterday. Just terrible. Just terrible. So I'm still coasting on the fumes of my 100% game. And I'm just going to, the most useful thing in curling is a very short memory. So yesterday did not happen.
For those of you wondering, that's the Ontario legislature. Behind me.
Good stuff. Mr. Grizzly.
House of Commons, if you will.
How is your mental health today, sir?
Let's just keep going.
Okay. So Mr. Grizzly has a good theme because, as you know, kids and cubs, today is voting day in Ontario. Da, 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 da. Hey, why it should have theme music like Hockey Night in Canada, Voting Day in Saskatchewan, Voting Day in Yukon. Isn't that rousing music? So it's a day to do democracy, kits and cubs. So for those of you who haven't already, I hope that you will. And if there's anybody out there who is thinking, maybe not, could you, for me personally, please? Because unfortunately, I was disenfranchised. I ordered my Doug Ford removal kit by the mail, and it arrived yesterday. Now, if I was currently in the riding where I could not go and vote today, then yes, I could have mailed it yesterday and by express post. It would have arrived somewhere in the same city that I am in today. But given that I need to vote in another city,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it can't get there from here in that amount of time. So thank you for sending me my Doug Ford removal kit, Elections Ontario, past when I could actually use it.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So if somebody could go and vote for me, now fortunately,
Can't do that.
my riding is safe. But if anybody is in a riding that happens to be close and was not thinking of voting today, could you change your mind about that
Please get out and vote.
and cast
Please.
one for me? A good way to do that, by the way, Kits and Cubs, if you want to know, our good friend of the show, Kit JB, put out a tool called smartvoting.ca. And I don't know if you want to bring it up on the computer there, Mr. Grizzly, and just show the kits and cubs. But you can go in there, and it has it for both federal and, in this case, the provincial election here in Ontario. I have a feeling that it might be useful for all provincial and territorial elections going forward. But they take data, I believe, from 338 Canada, the aggregator, and they all present it in a way that makes it easy for you to find, to see how things are based on the most recent public opinion surveying in your electoral district, and lets you know who's in the lead and who is the candidate that is running second. So in case some of you do wish to engage in some strategic voting, as about 30% of you have said that you want to, according to certain polls, this will help you do it.
Yeah, we're seeing these are just the polls: Etobicoke North, Etobicoke Center. That's to be expected, though, for Etobicoke, right?
Right.
But let's check Glengarry, Prescott, Russell. It looks like it's going to be conservative by a slim margin. How about Durham? That's probably conservative. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see what else. Let's go check out Ottawa. Ottawa Center, where I live. There's no surprise there. No surprise there whatsoever.
Yep.
That was to be expected. We're currently in Ottawa. We currently have Joel Harden as our MPP, and Catherine McKenney is running to replace him as he is migrating to federal politics. So we're looking at 47% for the NDP, 25% for the Liberal, and 19% for the Conservatives. The Liberals, the Cons, and the Greens are all gaining, where this NDP polling shows a loss of 7.4 from the last election. But whatever. Let's just check out another part of Ottawa. Let's go Ottawa South. Liberal, okay. And that, if memory serves, is
that was Dalton McGuinty's writing.
Yes, and Ottawa West Nepean is where our friend isn't that where oh boy, I'm blank. I see his face. Tyler?
Oh yeah, Tyler, yes. I believe
He's
so.
Ottawa
Yes.
West Nepean, isn't he?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and Vanier should be Liberal. It's always Liberal Vanier. That's a very safe riding. So center, south, west, and Vanier. Yeah, so Ottawa's, okay, let's go. If we start center, there's NDP. And south is going to be Liberal, which is Dalton McGuinty's old riding. And NDP is way low there, but 28% Conservative polling. And if we migrate over to, we'll go down to Ottawa West, which is Liberal. Oh, no, sorry. No, Conservative. Very tight race, 36 to 34.
See, that's where this kind of app would come in handy.
Yes, exactly. It's like you go, oh, okay, well, I can, and then Ottawa Vanier, that's going to be Liberal by a long shot. That's not even up for debate. Anyway, I did post a link to this in the chat if you want to have a look at it.
All right.
And if
So
you haven't cast your ballot yet, this is
and you're wondering for whom, and you do want to vote strategically.
yes.
That's a tool that will help. All right, Kits and Cubs, and our guest today actually asked that we mention this to you, so we did. Now, our guest is one of the few return guests that we've had to our show, but those of you who follow the show and are a little bit of internet people may have a good idea who they are. He is Canada's favorite collection of snowflakes.
Yeah.
The frosty one himself. Please put your paws up and a big round of applause because we'll be talking Ontario elections and other politics with Mr. Cranky Canuck.
Well, hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey, Cranky, how are you? So nice to see you.
Good, guys. It's voting day, so it's a very special day for me to be here, and really glad I could be on the show and talk about what's going on, and hopefully we can get rid of the shitbag, Mr. Doug Ford, because we can't put up with him ananymore.
Oh, I would like
or
that
at
very
least
much.
maybe we'll get a slim majority. Minority. We'll see.
Yes.
But something. I think something will happen. So that's what
I would like that very much. You got to hold on to hope. Before we get into anything, Cranky, as we ask all our guests, how is your mental health doing today?
Fantastic.
Boston. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. All right, Cranky.
Yes,
General question, of course, because I want to know overall. Our impression of this election is that Mr. Ford really phoned it in, and it was pretty much an insult to anybody who actually cares about democracy and the right to cast a fully informed vote.
Yes, this
What's your
election
thoughts, Pete?
This election is a snap election that he's put out there to make sure that us Canadians don't go because it's cold out, it's shit. Everybody's got voter apathy. Nobody wants to be doing this right now, and this is his best opportunity because he knows that the shit show coming from the United States down south is going to cause him all kinds of problems next year. So this is his chance to become premier for fucking ever, which is what he said. And we don't want that. So hopefully there's enough people that are pissed off at the U.S., Donald Trump, and the rest of that nonsense that see that conservatives have got some real major problems right now. And that's to say I'm not against conservatives. I'm against hard right, insane conservatives. Those are the ones I am against. So, but currently...
We're the same way. We're not against conservatives. Progressive conservatives. We are for progressive conservatives, actually, and we'd like to see a healthy progressive conservative party in every province and federally, but they simply don't exist anymore.
No,
well, maybe in the East Coast.
They're now in lockstep with the Republican Party in the South, and as much as we had that wonderful foreign interference report that really didn't tell us anything new, we need a domestic interference report, which would really help what's going on. I don't know if you guys saw my recent webpage, but I went through Dougie's latest bullshit, and there was at least 15 top-notch scandals that he's had, and none of the news media is currently talking about it. So if you look on my website, it's my first blog post, and we could go through everything there, but there's an endless amount of stuff that's bad about Doug. I don't know how you guys want to take the show today, but I hate Doug Ford, so maybe that could be the theme of today's show.
That's okay. You know, it's he's a terrible man who's done a lot of harm. He's done a lot of harm.
I like that. Okay, so one of the things that we have found, I don't know if you saw Thume Dacus's cartoon the other day when he had the reverse Doug Ford with the reversible hat.
Canada's yes, I did see it. It went from MAGA to Save Canada, or not Save. Well, he probably
Canada's not for sale.
Has one of those too.
Yeah.
But Canada's not for sale. Yeah, but
and
he got those hats made in America, I think. The irony.
Like Trump had his made in China, of course, right? So, geez. that's what we've been seeing, right? Because we're watching him here in camera talking about wanting to protect Ontario, but then we see them going to the United States and preaching AMCAN, which is deeper economic integration, which seems to be the opposite of protecting Ontario.
Certainly does. It
So
absolutely certainly does.
So how is this guy getting away with having people think that he will defend Ontario in any way, shape, or form rather than just take the slip and slide down to Trumpville, because clearly he sees himself as someone who would like a seat at the family table?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what's happening is just no one is paying attention to politics. Everybody's politicked out. They're burned out. People don't want to think about it, talk about it, and they just want to believe everything's okay. But where people notice it is when it comes to their own doorstep. When it winds up affecting them, their family members, or other people around them, this is when people go, what the fuck actually happened?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're dealing with is people need to suffer somewhat before they wake up to the fact that they have to do something about it. We're at the do something about it part right now. I am a little fearful that we'll wind up with more Ford, but I guess that's just the way it's going to have to go. And there's going to have to be some real pain in Ontario. Ontario in general, I believe, is a progressive province. And right now we're being held against our will with these bastards. So.
Yep.
That sums it up.
Okay.
And I'm afraid you're correct that we're going to have another 4 more years of Doug. I really,
It's gross. I know.
If a slim majority would be great, or slim minority, I should say. A minority government would be ideal. Actually, ideal would be he gets trounced right out, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Really don't.
So I've got your blog open here, and yes, there are several things here, and there's been a lot of he's been skating by on a lot of it. The first one is one that we were bringing attention to as well, the Starlink contract.
SAR, TSAR, Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink.
Yes,
That's even better.
yes.
In early 2025, Doug tore up that $100 million contract with Musk just to bring it back when they put the tariffs off for a month. Doug Ford was a Trump bootlicker up to a month ago, and all of a sudden now he's the good guy. Give me a fucking break. Zebra doesn't change its stripes overnight, and neither did Doug Ford.
Well, that's why I'm saying he's out there preaching AMCAN. He's saying, hey, you know that thing we did with the auto pack? Let's do it with our critical minerals and our energy too. I'm not sure how nestling closer into the guy who said, I want to twist your neck's arms is protecting Ontario.
He is not. He is protecting Doug Ford. That's why he's wants to be premier forever. Because if he was to lose this election, I've got a laundry list of at least 15 really bad things that asshole's done, and that's where we're at. I don't even know where to start. I mean, he tried to sell the Greenbelt out from under us. He's got an RCMP investigation going.
Right.
There's been a ton of debt rising in Ontario. Brutal fiscal mismanagement, cronyism, nepotism, and all kinds of corrupt appointments that have been all over the news. Attacks on judges in the justice system. Anti-labor policies, QP coming after. I was actually at a couple of those protests handing out T-shirts in my human form. Allegations of past drug trafficking. Well, we've got a hash dealer in charge of Ontario, and that's not a great thing for Ontario. So I don't know what he's going to do to us, but it's not going to be great. And the thing that should upset everybody is healthcare. There's nothing left for healthcare when you're in the public system. They keep you alive, and they do all the things that are necessary, but there's not a single creature comfort for you when it goes sideways. It's just absolutely been stripped bare to the bone to make you have the worst experience possible. So absolutely, this guy's got to go. And again, we've got to feel pain here in Ontario before we actually make real change.
Yeah. And then in addition to all of those things you mentioned, there's the Ontario Place thing. That's $2.2 billion, just whoop, up in smoke. And then we showed the pictures of the roof of the Ontario Science Center.
It's just
after that massive snow dump.
It's
pulling
just
up
fine.
really well. All the misuse of the minister's zoning orders. Let's just there's this little boundary here over there to include this over here for you there.
Yeah,
little
exactly.
a little extra there for you. Shh. Um, yeah, as you mentioned, healthcare. The liberals, I have to say, it's really sad that they didn't put this on TV because all I see it is on web, but they've got this short little ad that's about like 10 or 15 seconds where it's this nurse bringing this woman out into the parking lot while she's still on a gurney like this. And she says, says, we'll call you we'll call you when there's room. Says what happens when the hallways run out of room. And she just takes the blanket and she puts it there and she's like, it's like completely normal that they made her comfortable outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
None
this,
of
and
this
it's
is
just
right.
10 seconds like this, but it just hits.
Yep.
It's like, right. Of course, education starved, as we learned in the debates, right? $1,500 per student cut, the lowest per student capita funding, and same thing for the post-secondary educational institutions, which are usually funded up to 60% from government funding in all provinces except Ontario, where it's 30%. And now that there are immigration caps for student visas that the premiers asked for because they couldn't handle the housing when they wanted all the people to stay here, because they asked for that because there was a staffing shortage, but didn't build anything all that time
That's right.
for all
That's
the
right.
people, and then decided to blame it on the government when it became too much, on the federal when it came too much. So, but they decided at that time to make sure that post-secondary education was not funded through core funding, even though education and health are the two core constitutional responsibilities that a
Yes.
province has. They decided not to do that. They decided to fund that with volatile funding. It's sort of like funding your healthcare system with oil money when oil can fluctuate between $32 and $140 a barrel. It's probably not a good idea to do that. It's probably a better idea to use your basic funding to make sure that health is funded. And if you get an oil boom, then you buy a couple of extra MRI machines and yay for you. But you don't make sure that bypass surgeries are funded with oil money.
No.
Or being done at Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Right?
Well, we've been saying it for a while. It was one of the kids who said, how soon before, but because Doug's going to close all these safe injection sites, how soon before we see Weston family wellness centers?
They probably already got that on the drawing board.
No, this, realistically, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me in the least bit.
Well, Alberta's given us a hint there, eh?
Yeah.
They came up with we were going to have two involuntary facilities that they've announced.
Involuntary.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. How is
Yes.
that even? It's just so ridiculous and sad. Like, involuntary. I guess they must be talking to that RFK asshole in the United States where they want to send everybody who takes antidepressants off to some sort of wellness clinic against their will. Give me a fucking break. Good luck. Try to do that. Let's see how that goes.
So we have a friend of the pod here, David Kleiman-Haga, that with regard to the Alberta one, and I know it's like we're talking Ontario politics, but I mean, this is where we're going here because Doug Ford apparently is very, 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 very proud that he's building more jails. He does not see that as a problem that he needs to build more jails.
No,
He's proud that he is.
Good for business. I guess, perhaps there's connections to that whole U.S. private system. They're trying to Americanize us in every different way possible. I mean, it's very un-Canadian to seem to go out to any store now and buy booze, and it's causing problems in neighborhoods. They were worried about weed, but the real problem is booze on every corner in Canada. I liked it the way it was. It didn't need to be that way.
Yep, I concur.
So we have David Americanizing.
Yeah, so we have David Kleiman-Haga here that's saying, make no mistake, the UCP's planned, quote, compassionate intervention centers, how's that for fun with words, will be jails.
Compassionate.
Yes.
Exactly. It's going to be the worst.
At a fancy televised news conference in Calgary yesterday with a large cast of supporters, Premier Danielle Smith and Mental Health and Addiction Minister Dan Williams, both of whom are under a dark political cloud as a result of their prominent roles in the continuing dodgy contract scandal, said the government would spend $180 million of your tax dollars, Albertans, to build the two new drug jails, one in Calgary and one in Edmonton. Each jail will have 150, quote, secure beds. Presumably, there will be a steel toilet with no lid behind the locked door to each room, although we were spared that detail at the news conference in the boastful news release that claimed without evidence that the so-called, quote, Alberta recovery model makes this province, quote, an international leader in addiction treatment and recovery. Before you can say that you're a leader, maybe you want to actually have some results to measure.
You just might.
Yeah.
Just might. The news release also stated as a fact that Alberta has established, quote, a gold standard opioid addiction treatment apparently not discovered by all the other jurisdictions that are dealing with this deadly worldwide crisis. Well, I love Clement Haga. He's so bitchy. Well, one doesn't need to be an expert in addiction treatment to know from the controversy among experts surrounding this long telegraphed plan, which seems to have been inspired by the Premier's former Chief of Staff, Marshall Smith, that these are highly tendentious claims. But while the announcement and news conference yesterday at embargoed, quote, media briefing this morning on the same topic are clearly an attempt to distract the public from the scandal sparked from the startling allegations in the former Alberta Health Services CEO's Athana Metsalopoulos' wrongful dismissal statement of claim, the government's plan to incarcerate drug users, even if on sincerely compassionate grounds, nevertheless warrants grave concern. In particular, we should be wary of the claim that the government's planned, quote, compassionate intervention legislation, which is still being cooked up somewhere in a back room of the legislature building, so it's not even written yet. Mm-hmm. But the legislation is already at the forefront. We call that wish cast. We call that wish casting, kids and cubs.
Absolutely.
Stating what you wish to be true and broadcasting it to the entire world as if it is a fact. That's wish casting.
Yeah, it's not a real thing. It's not reality.
And this is from the Premier, who allegedly does not believe in fantasy thinking.
Well, this is from the Premier, who went with Kevin O'Leary, that bag of dicks, and Jordan Peterson to go negotiate on behalf of Canada with the orange mango Mussolini down there. And yeah, no, none of them are what I'd call Canadian. I'd call them actually fucking traitors.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but have a look at this.
Alberta is first, and if they sign on, Saskatchewan would follow, and then you go west to British Columbia. There is a movement in Canada to join us. I want to get your thoughts on that and how that's proceeding right now.
So it's true. Thank you, Brian. It's true. A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. They'll have to pay much lower taxes. They'll have the ultimate security. They don't pay very much for security right now because they rely on us, which is really unfair to us. They make cars that we could make, and they send them back into the United States. They make a lot of things, including the sending of oil and everything. We don't need their oil. We don't need their lumber. In fact, we're going to be freeing up, and I've asked Howard Lutnick to get that done with Lee and everybody, Lee Zeldin, environmental.
So please
freeing up our
explain to me.
forests.
We don't need them. We don't need anything they make, but we're going to take Alberta first.
Oh, of course. Alberta first. It's always been fucking Alberta first. So, yeah, I guess they can have Alberta. We'll take California, New York, and every other sane fucking place down there. When I see that goddamn orange motherfucker, I can't get any angrier. 51st state, my ice cold ass.
Yeah,
Never gonna happen. Fuck
never
you,
happen.
Trump. Fuck
you.
You know
what he's trying to do? He's trying to do the same thing he did with the United States when it comes to Russia. The amount of people in the Republican Party that are Russia supporters right now is disturbing when you consider the fact that Vladimir Putin is a mob boss gang leader who would kill you as quickly as look at you.
Yeah, and this is exactly who Trump is beholden to, along with Elon Musk.
Yes.
Currently, the United States, they don't even recognize it yet, but they're injecting the 2025 shit into the veins and the corpse of what once was U.S. democracy, and it's now being run by Russia. Americans are going to get a real taste of what a dictator's all about, and unfortunately, so are we. Fuck you, Donald Trump.
Well, the United States has become a vassal state of Russia, period.
Yes, sir, it has.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it has. And this is what has been causing a massive influx of patriotism here in Canada. There may not be tariffs yet, but we are done buying American. And so is the European Union and everybody else on planet Earth. But this is all part of Putin's plan to isolate America from the rest of the world and to destroy it. They even talked about collapsing the economy at the very beginning of this entire schmozzle. Part of this was to cause quote unquote short-term pain for long-term gain. This is according to Musk. They're planning to crash the U.S. economy and try to put it all into crypto and rob them blind.
Yep. So I mean, this is like it's a combination of the abusive partner isolating their spouse from the entire world, which is what Trump is doing, and the really, really, really greedy child going to their parents while they're at the nursing home and just sign this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's a melding of those two things that's going on.
It is something disgusting that I never thought I would see in my lifetime here in Canada, and watching the United States become from meth lab to on fire fucking meth lab. It is a whole different universe now.
Yeah,
it really is. It's I remember when George W. got in, and I thought, oh my God, they can't do worse than this. Apparently,
that's one thing in communications you learn to never say. One, it can't get worse. Yes, it always can. And the other is like, let's do this. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, trust me, you will find out.
Well, and here's the thing. He has his mandate now. It's to do everything he didn't get to do the first time around. And he has his enemies list, and he's going after them. And it's been shown by, look at what NBC just did. All of their anchors that were either black or Latino or Asian are now out of work.
Oh yes,
or not necessarily out of work. Some of them are out of work. Some of them just lost their shows, and they're still working for the network. But their shows that they hosted have been canceled.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what's happening. And then we showed again the joint chief of staff. But to bring it back,
and the white woman.
Yeah, to bring it back to here, however, I guess when we're talking about these, what Doug Ford might be having planned for Ontario, and we're always looking to Alberta because they seem to be leading that. When we're talking about these alleged compassionate intervention legislation and compassionate intervention centers, as Clyman Haga says here, it sounds very nice, but between the lines, it smacks of police being able to toss people into jail on a whim without a hint of due process.
Correct.
Yes, it feels very much like the beginning of The Handmaid's Tale right now. And in fact, there was a lady that was dragged out of some sort of boardroom down in the States by a bunch of unidentified men. And this is the kind of thing that Alberta is looking for. Like, our Maple MAGA traders up here think this is all a great idea. I still can't believe that anybody in Canada would be a Trump supporter at this point. They don't even know what fucking country they live in anymore. Clearly, most of Alberta is completely lost.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
now
we've got this in Alberta. Sorry, just be a second. I'm just going to show this image. Tell Danielle let's join the AmericaFund.ca. Like, that's Alberta. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. So
anymore.
Yeah. So while they're telling people that this type of legislation, quote, would allow family members, guardians, healthcare professionals, police, or peace officers to request an addiction treatment order for Albertans who are a danger to themselves or others due to their addiction or substance use. That's how it's presented to us. It's literally, we think you have a problem. There you go.
That's right.
You've disappeared for a bit. Now, I not know how much effort is going to be made once they bring people into this involuntary care to find out if they've got any kin anywhere near around that they should be informed of that this person is now in involuntary care. I don't know what protocols and rules are going to be around that, or whether or not they just take people and, well, we don't need to inform anybody. That would be nice to have some clarity on that. Now, this article goes, given past hints dropped by Ms. Smith that our government would use the Constitution's notwithstanding clause to pass this law in the face of likely court challenges, we should not be reassured by the promise, quote, safeguards would be built into the compassionate intervention legislation to ensure individual rights and freedoms are protected. Say, you cannot say, like, don't worry, this legislation that we plan to use the notwithstanding charter to invoke will respect your rights.
It's laughable to think it even would be that way. Give me a fucking break.
It's literally but this is the thing that Daniel Smith does, right? Like this Daniel Smith and Doug Ford have like two different shticks like this, but it all ends up at the same thing. Daniel Smith comes to the microphone and, starts talking some numbers and some principles and some theories and some policy stuff. And then, takes one number from Kai and mixes it with a number there and then turns it around and makes a narrative that sounds reasonable if you're just like sipping coffee and listening to her drone on. But if you're actually doing some active listening and actually know a couple of things, turn around and go, what? Well, wait a minute. You can't use that number that way. Well, wait, you just said like right here. I was like, whoa, safeguards will be built into it. Yes, but you're planning to say you're threatening to use the notwithstanding clause. It's like, that means that you know that you are passing a law that violates my basic fundamental charter rights, and you don't care. Don't reassure me while you're doing it. Oh, but don't worry, the law will protect your rights when you're threatening to violate my rights to pass it. Like that's some next level. That's some next level gaslighting bullshit.
Absolutely, it is. Nobody should be putting up with this, but unfortunately, this is where we're at. A lot of Canadian media has been bought up by U.S. hedge funds, etc., and they have convinced a whole lot of the public that they don't need rights, that they don't want the Canada that we've had. They want some sort of Americanized, bastardized, Russianized version of what democracy is supposed to be. So, yeah, I'm pretty worried. I don't think any of this is good. But again, on the bright side of things, there's a lot of sane people that are starting to wake up to this. Some of the most hardcore Trump supporters that I've known in Canada and people around me have changed their tune in the last bit and went, I can't believe I was for that. And legitimately, not Doug Ford's pivot from from Trump to this, but real genuine sorrow for fucking up. Because when you watch what happened in the United States, you had cops that voted for a felon. You had women that voted away their rights. You had immigrants that voted to deport themselves, and a bunch of church-going fucks voting for Satan. So between all of that, millions of people wanted this, and they have been working on Canada every different way they can get us. They are after us. We are in their targets every day, and they're preparing to hurt us economically. And if that doesn't work, we could get Ukrained. And I don't even say that. It's not hyperbolic. It's true. This is, we're facing real threats right now in Canada, and it will never be the same between the U.S. and Canada. Never. I will never ever buy an American product again when I can avoid it. Our household is now deferring our money into Canadian everywhere we possibly can, and this will never change, and this is going across the board. So the U.S. has shot themselves in the foot. The Europeans are doing the same, Mexico, but again, this isn't America. This is a Russian proxy that is destroying America, and it's all self-inflicted wounds.
I was talking with a friend of mine in the UK yesterday, and he said people there are on pins and needles. They are legitimately worried about World War III. They are concerned that Article 5 in NATO is going to happen. The U.S. is not going to lift a finger. We'll have to send troops into Russia. And then what? Then we're in World War III. Not just a proxy World War III, because technically we're all involved with the war in Ukraine.
Yep.
It's affected everybody on Earth. We just aren't firing shots yet. So what happens when the U.S. decides that they're not going to hold up their end of the bargain when it comes to NATO? Because Trump will not do anything. He won't lift a finger to do anything that harms Putin or Russia.
Well, I can tell you one thing's for sure. Even though Canada's a NATO country, NATO's not going to be helping us because they're going to be fighting the Russian monster themselves.
Yes.
It's going to be up to us to deal with whatever the fuck the U.S. throws at us. So I'm not even sure how that's going to work. But definitely, Canada, we're on our own. Nobody's coming to help us. I do not see worldwide. I think Greenland might be down to do some stuff. I mean, there is a massive, gigantic NATO base there, so that might play a role. I'm not sure, but there's not going to be a whole lot that we could do. But the one thing the Americans don't get is we look like them, we sound like them, but we're not like them.
No.
So if they want to start a guerrilla war with a bunch of lunatic Canadians, they're going to have another thing coming when they're going to have things blowing up in Buffalo and along the border. They're not going to like what we do. So it'll get ugly. And this is we are definitely on the precipice of World War III right now. There's no other way to see this. I've been screaming this from the hilltops for 10 years, and just for the last few as a snowman. And now I'm not a conspiracy theorist and the crazy person. All these things are coming to fruition because of weak leadership across the board. Weak people make hard times. Hard times make strong people. Strong people make good times. Good times make weak people repeat. And that is what we have. And we're at the end of the cycle right now.
We got soft.
Mm-hmm.
We did. Again, back to what I said earlier, there's been no real suffering on this continent, and it looks like the beginning of World War III is starting here. And I know this sounds scary, but it is what it is. We've lost the memory of what World War II was about, like the living memory is gone, but Europe lived through it, so they still have a memory as to what that was, the horrors of what war really is about. Here, there's no such thing. People don't believe it could happen. For many, many years, I heard that fascism could never happen in America. Well, they were wrong. Absolutely wrong. And can it happen in Canada? Yes, it can, and it's seeping in every single day.
Yep,
Yeah.
indeed. Cranky, back here in Ontario, when you're seeing these things, this type of campaign that we have, you see the Liberals trying to punch through, you see the New Democrats trying to punch through, you're seeing the Greens trying to punch through, and on the other side, you're seeing a guy just trying to skate through with as minimum as possible. I mean, really, the plan was shortest election possible, say Trump, 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 tariffs, 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 and have absolutely nothing on anything else. With this guy, if it doesn't involve cars, concrete, or booze, he's not interested.
That's right.
Right. So how do you, it's like, I know it's like kind of too late now because we're voting today, but assuming Porky Pig wins, and assuming it is another majority, in your mind, what do people need to do?
The parties need to change how they come at this stuff. We're in an age of populism. We are no longer fighting politics like it's 2014. They need to come out with a meme army. They need to come out with comedy writers. They need to turn politics into a fucking show because that's what it's been turned into. They need to stop fighting with policy and fighting with sharp clips and all kinds of other things. We are fighting populism. We are not fighting a normal war. And this is a whole new kind of progressive that we need to come up in this mess, that knows how the system works, that knows how the tech works, that knows how numbers. But most of these assholes that are in politics don't even know where a fucking email comes from. I don't even know how they're qualified to make a lot of the decisions that they do. But we don't have the right people running the show. And again, if I was to run for office, I would hire 5 comedy writers, 10 animators, and I'd go after everybody. I would turn it into an absolute production of a show. That would work. And that's how you crush them. People want to be entertained. It's like Gladiator or the Colosseum from the old days. They want to see somebody else get eaten by a lion, not us. So that's it. You got to bring it, turn it into a show. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know how you fight this craziness because they keep dominating the news cycle with insanity. So you've got to dominate it back with logic, truth, and facts and make it exciting. Lies travel around the world 10 times before the truth even puts on its pants.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the problem we have.
Well, populism is a dangerous, dangerous thing. And what you just stated on how they should fight it, I think is accurate. Perhaps the Liberal Party or the New Democratic Party could go out and hire some of the staff from the Beaverton and help them.
Exactly. The Onion
it's not
has
a
a
normal
better chance of winning an election than any of these fucking progressive parties right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I know. Well, I just rewatched a movie the other day, a Robin Williams film called Man of the Year, where he had a program similar to the Daily Show. He was akin to Jon Stewart, and he decides to run for president as an independent and ends up winning, but there was malfeasance with the voting machines. But whatever. Is art imitating life right now?
No, AI is.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, nice. Nice.
You guys didn't even know I could be AI.
Well, if so, you're the kind of AI we like.
Thank you, sir.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Other than that, so you voted early, right?
I'm going out to vote right after this show.
You're going to vote right after the show. Cool. Are you bringing anyone with you?
I've told my children if they don't vote the way I want, they don't get to live in my house anymore.
Oh.
I'm kidding. My kids are very progressive.
Well, we figured as
Off to
much.
the orphanage with you.
God.
No, our whole. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that at all to my little snow children. But yeah, we're all going out to vote today. So that's how that's happening. So
Cool.
we got a few votes going for the right people in our neighborhood, and hopefully that helps the boondoggle we're in.
All right. Well, will there be ice cream after?
There might be. There might be. Ben and
There might
Jerry's
be?
is a good brand from the United States, and we have Chapman's up here, and those are good brands of ice cream. I'll just say.
Yes.
Yes,
Ice
indeed,
cold.
indeed.
Well, and remember, Chapman's, when their factory burnt to the ground, they kept everyone on payroll. Nobody lost their jobs. Everyone continued to receive a check until they reopened the new factory.
That's a great company, in my
Yes.
opinion, and that's how you should treat your workers. I mean,
Yep.
the whole way that a lot of these business treat people, like that's, the conservatives. I suppose that whole mindset works when you're running a business, but I don't think it does. I think if you treat people properly, you'll get way better work out of them,
Oh, yeah.
every single time.
And your turnover costs are way lower, and just all the corporate knowledge that you get to keep within and then build upon because people want to stay there longer and improve and are invested. It's just there are so many intangibles from paying people well and treating them well that you can't necessarily account for, but do show up
Totally.
in the efficiency of your corporation all the time.
Absolutely.
Because-
Happy workers make for a much stronger bottom line, and there's a number of CEOs that have gone out and said those kinds of things.
Yes.
Those are the
Yeah.
CEOs that don't need to be denied, deposed, and diffused. What was it? Sorry, they don't need to get Luigi.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
make billionaires scared again.
Let's say in an ideal world, we wake up tomorrow morning and by some magic, the conservatives have a minority government, and by some magic, the liberals and the NDP decide they're working together to not let Doug Ford govern. What is the first thing you would like to see them do?
Fix healthcare. That is the first thing that needs to get done. Is it needs to be funded properly, and then education, and then let's get into the rest of it. But absolutely, health first is the way I see it. That is something that affects everybody. You don't even know how badly that affects you until it affects you, and then you're going to be hurting. I've watched a family member go through the hospital system in the last couple of years. It was not pleasant. In any respect. And I know that our system does what it can, but it's being starved to death. So I want that fixed immediately. And at least from what I can see, Bonnie and Marit have said that they will work to fix that. And I hope those women do that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Excellent.
By the way,
I
I have another cartoon that I built in the last couple of days, if you guys want to pull that up.
Oh, you do? Yes.
Yep.
Yes, let's do that.
It's at the top of the blog page or on the YouTube channel. It's only 1:20, but it goes back to Doug Ford and Starlink. So I had a few things to say about that, and I thought that was a rather good video for the moment.
I think
I've been doing my best to get people awake to the fact that Doug's a shitheel. So
the Why So Furious one?
no, not Why So Furious. It's a new one. I just put out a cartoon a couple of days ago.
Oh, there it is. It's cartoons. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have it? Do you have it, Mr. Grizzly?
I'm looking for it here. Do you have the link? Just send it to me.
It's
Okay.
on Cranky Cartoons blog. It's at the top of that page. Or it's on my YouTube channel.
All right. I'll go to that one instead.
I don't know if everybody here has seen the latest.
Not on our channel, that's for sure. We
Awesome.
missed it. All right. I cannot find it off the top of my head. Here.
Is it Pierre Poutin disinformation?
Nope. Here, I'll just send it to you guys in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, just send it in the chat. No, I'll.
We're not. I'm looking at that. I'm not seeing a theme that seems recent.
So it's on the blog. Remember the blog with all the Doug Ford stuff? It was on that blog.
Yeah.
It's at the very top of the page.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I got it now. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Just see here. Okay. Give me a second while I load it up. Why is it not going in full screen?
It's vertical video.
Yeah, I still should be able to blow it up, though, is the thing. For some reason, it won't let me. There we go. Okay. All right. Now I got it. Sorry, it just took me a second there. For some reason, things were not cooperating with me. It's been one of those technological days where,
I know exactly what you mean.
Hey, Dougie, Cranky here. Just wanted to point out what a brutal judge of character you are, and everything else. But seriously, you're still gonna ink a deal with Zarlink? Are you fucking kidding me? We've spent the last 30 plus days watching Musk and his incel dream team dismantle the US while Canada is threatened with annexation, invasion, or tariffs that could tank us into a fucking depression. Meanwhile, felon Trump and his ghouls are injecting Project 2025 into the corpse of what once was U.S. democracy, and you still want to work with these people? You're embarrassing yourself on Fox News cosplaying as our Prime Minister while handing an overpriced Ontario infrastructure deal to a billionaire aligned with fascism and actual dictators. What the actual fuck, Dougie? Cancel Zarlink, you stupid bastard. There are other options that don't involve handing all our data and more to the Russians. Canada is under attack, and you're selling Ontario out to a Roman saluting monster. Canadians demand you cancel the Starlink contract now and stop playing footsies with fascists. Time to vote Ford out. Until next time.
Ooh.
That is exactly what needed to be said, and I hope Dougie. Well, I know Dougie and his social media team saw that at least 4,000 times the other day when I put it out, so that was nice. Bing, 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 bing.
Awesome.
Can we get this plotting, Cranky?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
There we go.
There we go.
Dougie,
I
get
love
forked.
Yeah, get forked.
Oh man, I love it. So the thing with the Starlink deal, and that was the thing that caught our eye too. It's like, how do you, in the same breath, present to Ontarians that you are going to protect them while you are rolling out the carpet and rolling out $100 million to the guy who's bankrolling the guy who's musing aloud about annexing you?
None of this makes any sense, and it all stinks like more Dougie corruption because we already have a ton of problems. Like, I'm pretty sure he's being greased by Elon. Why the fuck do we want a tunnel under the 401? Done by what? Elon's boring company? Give me a fucking break. All this is just Doug lining his pockets. So how does he go from one breath to the other? Well, because he's got absolutely no fucking shame. He's out to make as much money as possible at the expense of all of us. He's a terrible man. He's the folksiest criminal I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. So but here's the thing, right? The thing is that he didn't really bring any of the folksy to the debate.
No, he didn't.
This time around.
No.
Like he just left that.
He doesn't even need to because he knows he's got a head start with everything that he's already done. He's called this election in the middle of winter to disenfranchise all of us. Like, nobody wants to go out and vote in a winter, but we're doing it. And he's done absolutely everything else to tear down the competition. So it's...
Well, and of course, for those who didn't have advanced polling or mail-in ballots, in the city of Ottawa today, we just got a weather advisory. Reduced visibility at times in heavy snow. Snowfall amounts of 5 to 10 centimeters this morning through this afternoon. Yeah. So that means a lot of people will not be voting today. We might even get a lower turnout than we did in the last provincial election.
I I don't know how it's possible that a majority in Ontario was won last time by 18% of the electorate. If it's lower than that, then I think, Ontario's got to feel some real pain before they make some change, because a little bit of cold weather shouldn't stop you from winding up with healthcare and education for your children.
Well, exactly.
Right.
We are Canadians, after all.
Cartoon today. I'm not really interested in politics. I'm not that unhappy with the way things are. There's too much snow. It's too melty
I
out there.
love Theo.
Don't make excuses. Vote.
That's right. I like Theo a lot. I've talked to him a few times here and there, and he makes great cartoons as well.
He does.
He does, absolutely. From coming from a cartoon, that's a very high compliment.
Well, and Mr. Jim says, since when is 5 to 10 centimeters worthy of an advisory? And I'm like, yeah, no shit. 5 centimeters, that's this much.
Why do we have an advisory for 5 to 10? This is Canada.
Well, indeed, it's Canada, and we're marching, pardon the pun, in like a lion, right? Into the march. So, yes. I mean, this is nothing. Why is that an advisory? It's almost like there's a conspiracy to make people stay home and not get out and vote. 5 to 10 centimeters? Come on. We had 35 centimeters a few days ago, and nobody was stopped from doing anything.
Let's throw your red Speedo on and go make snow angels weather.
Yeah. Exactly what it is.
That's right. You're Save Canada Speedo. No. Remember that weirdo?
There we go.
Even
better. There's a weirdo in a red Speedo.
That's it.
Oh, wait, that's me.
I love it, guys. No
Cranky, Cranky, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. It was great to see you guys. Really had a great show and lots of good talk today.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's always a joy to have you. Thank you so much. I like the combination that we get a little frosty and we get a little spicy, but you don't melt. So
no, I'm ice cold always.
Ice cold. Doesn't matter how spicy it gets.
Nope.
I like it.
Okay, I just got
progressive tears roasted into an ice ball of rage. That's me.
Do you want to build a Cranky?
We're expecting 18 centimeters in Ottawa in the next 48 hours. 18 centimeters. That's still 48 hours, 18 centimeters. That shouldn't slow down anybody. That's nothing.
That's nothing.
No big deal.
None. I mean,
get out and vote.
Get out and vote, man. Don't let Doug Ford convince you that, oh my God, here comes the winter.
Okay, and once again,
live through every year.
Yeah. And once again, Kith and Kubs, I don't know if this happened to you, but if you haven't gotten your vote card yet, or if you're hearing this stuff about, hey, you need to register, no. You do not need your vote card. You do not need to register. All you need to do is show up with a piece of ID that validates your name, government-issued ID that validates your name, and a piece of official mail, like a hydro bill or a phone bill or something like that, that is delivered to your address that proves that you reside at that address. If you have a driver's license, that actually does both. So that's all you need. And if you don't have either, because you've recently moved to the neighborhood, if you have a neighbor who has those two things, they can come with you and they can vouch. All right. So don't just turn around and say, oh, somebody said I needed to register. I didn't register. So don't, I guess I can't vote. You can. You always can. Just show up, bring the ID. If you're on they will find you. Because even if you're not on the list, they will add you to the list at the polling station if you have those two things. All right.
As long as you can prove who you are, you get to vote in this country, period. It's not a challenge. This whole get your register to vote. I'm like, when I got that thing in the mail, I'm like, what the hell is this? I've voted in every election since I was 18. Federal, provincial, municipal. How are you telling me that suddenly I have to register?
Oh,
That's never been a thing.
Oh, they learned that from the Republicans, clearly.
Yeah.
Just another one of their little digs at democracy. So
isn't Ontario elections a separate operating body from?
It is.
So this is puzzling to me. Why that would happen? It doesn't. It's. I don't want to get conspiratorial, but
independent body.
Yeah, it's an independent body. So why would they do like that's never been done before in my lifetime? That I've never experienced. Register. I literally got a package in the mail.
Me
There
neither.
is voter registration in Canada, but usually most of us do it when we file our income tax. We just tick that little box and the
Yeah,
information.
that's it.
Usually. So, but yeah, listen, people are going to be looking into it and finding out what's going on, Cliff, because that's weird. That should not have happened.
No.
Cranky, thank you so much, and I hope that you all have fun voting Doug Ford out. You get a little thrill when you put that little X there, and then have 2 scoops. Okay?
Absolutely.
Go for that ice cream.
Well, I just wanted to again say today it was great to hang out with you guys, and I just wanted to say thanks to your audience and everybody here. So it's been a wonderful time, and I'll see you next time that we do this, and hopefully
Cool.
we wind up in a bit of a different world tomorrow. So everybody get out there and vote. Love you all,
Love you
and
too.
remember, stay frosty.
I love me some Cranky.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
Awesome.
can't. Oh, good. I'm so happy that all the tech worked.
It just took a little bit to get it going, but yeah, everything worked out well. We had.
I think that was his first time using it.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That way. So
he's been working on it. He told this is the first time he used it in a live setting like this because he's been working on it. And I was asking him about it before we went on to learn about it because I know what he's doing and I know how to do it. But trust me when I say this, it is not easy. You need 2 computers. You need a lot of software, some know-how. It's not easy to do what he just did. Trust me when I say this. You have one camera tracking you so that the cartoon mimics your movements and your mouth movements and arms and body and all of that. But then he's got his voice modulator and he's got to go through. It's a lot of work to make that happen. So we really appreciate that he was able to do it. And he told us he's been working on this for a year now to try and make it happen. The first time we had him on, he wanted to do it, but he's like, I just couldn't get it to work. And I'm like, don't worry. I understand how much effort goes into it. So I'm going to look at trying to put something together like that in the future when we have a guest who does not wish to appear on camera as themselves.
No, that could be
voice
cool,
mod I can do, but unfortunately right now the voice mod I can do, it would affect all of us. I don't have any way to isolate a guest. I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
Cool. I'm looking through the chat here. Listen, we're getting some props also to Kawarthra Dairy ice cream and Shaw's ice cream too. So yes, all the good Canadian ice cream companies should definitely get a shout here. Playing with 3D goes, we have Farcar's ice cream here locally. Cool, good stuff. So yes, and again, and of course, additional shout outs for Chapman's here, of course, among the Kits and the Cubs. So thank you so much for participating like that, Kits and Cubs, and lots of appreciation as well. There we go. Cranky has a new subscriber with Playing with 3D. Thank you so much for supporting our friends. Really appreciate that. And Kit Saucy seem to have, and Kit Jen seem to have really appreciated Cranky, and Jay Cranky is a genius. There we go. Thank you so much. So yeah, we thought we'd have a little treat for you.
I just wanted to mention this. It seems President Trump is back down again. The tariffs will now take effect on April 2nd.
Yeah,
he keeps moving the goal line,
and it could change again before. Yeah. February. We're only February 27th. There's a few days to go before March 2nd yet. So
yeah, he might move it back. We don't know.
He gets a president's prerogative is always to change his mind.
Yes.
Jeez. Damn. Depends which brains he's using today, I guess. This guy, I tell you. Okay, here in Canada, there was a bit of interesting news the other day that we didn't bring you yesterday, but we do need to bring you. And I have to say, it made me look up at the sky and throw my hands up and just say, why? There's just too much damn news. Why? But it would appear that the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Dr. Andrew Furey, has decided that he too is going to step aside as premier.
Oh.
Now, Kits and Cubs, you have to understand that last year there was supposed to be an election in New Brunswick and Saskatchewan and BC. And then we were going to have the US election. Then we knew that there was a Liberal leadership race coming up in Quebec. And then Chrystia Freeland did her thing. And all of a sudden we have a federal Liberal leadership race. Then Tim Houston decides he's going early. So we have a provincial election in Nova Scotia. Then Doug Ford goes early and we have a provincial election in Ontario. Then King resigns, which means we're going to have a conservative leadership race in British Columbia. And now Fury resigns and we're going to have a Liberal leadership race. I'm tired. I know this is a political show, but I would like to breathe.
Yeah. Well,
could anybody just stay put? Oh my God.
I don't know what's going to happen in the next few days, weeks, or months. I don't know if we're going to be in an all-out war, economically or mechanized. I don't know, come June, what North America is going to look like. I really don't. And for the first time in my life, I can say that and mean it. I'm not being hyperbolic. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks and months. Like the thought that we might have to take up arms against our neighbors to the south troubles me. It really does. It was not something that I had ever thought about before, but now that could become a very realistic thing. Do I want that? Hell no, I don't want that. It's the last thing on earth I want, but it may come to that. You have a madman running that country right now. And we have individuals in this country who are in lockstep with him. And individuals in this country who are in political office. Scott Moe. Although Scott Moe was on Team Canada, so maybe I won't throw him under that bus yet. But Danielle Smith is clearly not on Team Canada. Doug Ford likes to say he's on Team Canada.
He's not.
But he's not. The AmCan? Excuse me? No, we're on top, Doug. We're always on top. It's Can-Am. Number one, if you're going to have any sort of agreement, not AmCan. Stop kissing Trump's ass, you fucking coward. Trump is a bully and you need to stand up to him. But Doug Ford's a coward and he'll bend over for anybody who has money and power. Come after me. I've got nothing. When you've got nothing, guess what? You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. So, yeah, Andrew Fury. Out of the blue. People are saying it's a surprise even to us.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just gone. And it's not like Dennis King, not a long timeline here. According to junonews.com, Azix Lamoureux, for the second time in as many weeks, another Maritimes premier has announced the resignation. Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Andrew Fury announced Tuesday that he would be stepping down after nearly 5 years in office, citing family considerations and electoral timing as key factors in his decision. He also spent much of his resignation announcement bashing U.S. President Donald Trump, suggesting that he didn't have time to deal with what he perceived as Trump's erratic behavior. Quote, the job has been like one 5-year long shift. He's a doctor. You're always on, you're never off, said Fury. You are with everyone for the celebrations, but often alone with the weight of the hardest calls. You go to bed with it on your mind, and it's your wake-up call every morning. Fury's departure follows PEI's Dennis King, who announced his equally surprising resignation on February 20th. Fury, an orthopedic surgeon by trade, was first elected premier in August 2020 after winning the Liberal leadership following Dwight Ball's resignation. He later led the party to victory in 2021 provincial elections, securing a majority government. He said that now was the time for him to return to his family and back to his job in the operating room, where he would help the province in a different way. Under Newfoundland and Labrador's electoral rules, a general election must be held within a year of a new leader taking office. Fury said he did not want to seek re-election only to step down shortly afterward, which he argued would be disruptive and costly for the province. He said, and that's a rule that Danny Williams had put in place
Mm-hmm.
back in the time when he was the premier. He said that Newfoundland and Labradorians deserve a fully committed premier because of Trump's tariff threats. Quote, with President Trump, it's not going to be a 4-day thing. It's not going to be a 4-month issue. This is going to be almost a permanent tenure issue, said Fury. So we're looking at 4 years of erratic, crazy, bonkers behavior by the President of the United States. Tell us how you really feel, sir. Fury confirmed he would remain in office until his successor was chosen through a Liberal Party leadership race. He did not endorse any candidate, saying it was, quote, problematic when outgoing leaders did so. He said he did not see a career in federal politics in his future. So he's just going. The provincial leadership race will be ongoing during the federal Liberal leadership election set to conclude on March 9th when Canada's new Prime Minister will be crowned. He said he'd already met with party officials that a nomination period would soon begin for prospective candidates to put their names forward to become the new Premier. The outgoing Premier dismissed suggestions that fears of losing the next election influenced his departure. He said he knew he would win, so it was a non-factor. Fury pulled what he termed, quote, a Gretzky moment when he thanked various family members' support, advice, patience, and devotion. In fact, Fury said he was very proud of his tenure and cited various accomplishments. Among them was his claim that his province had one of the best pandemic responses in the world. His wife, Alison Fury, said the weight of the job had been deeply felt within their household, but that he had left the province in a better spot than he found it. Quote, the pressure and the weight of this job is felt deeply in our household. He has been away and our kids have grown up in front of our eyes, said Alison. It's time for us to get back to being a unit of 5. To conclude his Q&A with reporters, the Premier revealed a secret. Quote, I have not read a single story or watched a single piece of news or listened to radio since I started this job 5 years ago, he said. It's something I look forward to doing again. So, yes. And apparently, I believe he referred to the administration of the United States as cracked, which, if you're from the Rock, is a term that probably means something very specific to you. But yes, basically saying that they were cracked. So, yeah, I do not know if, because it's been a couple of days now, 2 days. So I don't know if the interim leader has yet been named. So I'm just looking for a little bit of information there about that. There's an article I see about people who could replace him, but that's about it. When the cracked comment applied to Trump specifically, he said, the guy's cracked. Whatever he says one day is not going to be accurate the next day. He makes promises, breaks promises, makes agreements, tears them up. People have to understand that this is going to be pervasive and consistent and that it will last the full 4 years, which is why I think the Canadian response needs to be calm, cooled, measured, balanced, but responsive in standing up to this bully, an erratic bully. So he had the lay of the land, correct.
Yes.
Now, people are surprised that he would resign because he had just got this big win with the signing of the Churchill Falls deal that we reported on not too long ago, right? Where he's got a better deal for Newfoundland, and Quebec, of course, got longer guaranteed energy from a reliable source. But François Legault said he would remember, quote, for the rest of my life what we accomplished together on the new energy deal. Quote, with this historic agreement, we have transformed the relationship between Quebec and Newfoundland, making it one of the strongest relationships in the country. Throughout the negotiation process, Andrew became a friend. I wish him the best of luck for things to come and a good time with his wife, Alison. So, interesting, given the history of Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec, to see a Premier of Quebec speak so elogiously of a Premier of Newfoundland. You know, a little bit about our history here. That's not a typical thing. Fury was a political rookie when he won the Liberal leadership race in 2020 and subsequently became Premier. He won in a provincial election the following year, which was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. He said Tuesday that he had asked the Liberal Party to begin a race to replace him, and he will remain Premier until his replacement is chosen. He hopes he will be remembered for the pace at which his government made changes and accomplishments. For example, the province's population began increasing in recent years after decades of decline, thanks largely to immigration efforts that included relocating Ukrainians. So I hadn't I hadn't heard that a lot of Ukrainians had actually relocated to Newfoundland.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either. That did not get a lot of press. So yeah, some pretty big news with from that. Like I said, not as abrupt a departure as Dennis King, who
Mhm.
quit as MLA party leader and premier all at the same time. He is going to remain in his seat at least till the end of his term, and remain leader until there is a leadership race. So at least there's that. So for the immediate moment, as whatever Trump does, he will still be premier. There will still be some stable governance in Newfoundland, even though he's announcing that he's stepping down. The party will still remain the government, of course, because they'll have a new leadership race, and whoever wins the leadership will then take over the premiership. I believe they are scheduled to have an election later this year, I think in October. So that may come a little early if they are still leading in the polls and the new party leader has a honeymoon period. So we might be seeing an election maybe earlier than a fall election in Newfoundland and Labrador as well. So there we go. And I hope to be listening to the little spot that we have about, well, here we go. Actually, you know what? Let's do that instead. Rather than me looking at it and then reporting it to you later, given that we have it now, might as well just show it to you. Mr. Grizzly sending you a little link to something that was on Twitter, and I believe it comes from the CBC affiliate down out in the Atlantic provinces, with a bit of a primer on who may be in the race to replace Andrew Furey as premier.
Andrew Furey's unexpected announcement yesterday has upended this province's political landscape, and the fallout has forced one Liberal MHA to hit the pause button on a plan to attempt a leap into federal politics.
Housing Minister John Abbott was set to make a big announcement this afternoon that he would seek the nomination to run for the Liberals in the upcoming federal election in the new St. John's area riding of Cape Spear.
Abbott is a big supporter of federal Liberal leadership contender Mark Carney, but his foray into federal politics is now on hold. Abbott told me this morning he's seriously considering another run at the Premier's office.
Abbott and Furey faced off in 2020 for the Liberal leadership. Abbott came up short, but was later elected in St. John's East, Kitty Vitty.
John Abbott is not the only Liberal caucus member dipping his toes. I also spoke to another John today, Health Minister John Hogan, who's in Ireland. He told me he's also seriously considering a leadership bid.
Hogan played a big role in Furey's 2020 leadership campaign. He says he would not have entered the political arena if it weren't for Furey's encouragement. But Hogan has 2 young children and understands that political leadership can be all-consuming. He says he'll carefully weigh the pros and cons in the coming days.
The impact of his leadership will be seen for generations in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Siobhan Cody is the Deputy Premier and Minister of Finance. She's also not ruling out a leadership bid.
Let me take a few days, obviously. I think there will be a lot of people who will think about this over the next number of days. There are a lot of leaders in our caucus, and there are a lot of leaders in the community who might want to step up as well.
So we have a great opportunity for somebody to step up and try to continue to push the province forward.
The Liberal Party Executive Board will meet this evening to begin preparations for a leadership contest.
What kind of time frame are you looking at?
So no answers for you on that right now. That will come in the coming days, but we will be sure to have a process that's fair, equitable, that's able to reach as many people across the province. Anybody that's interested should be able to raise up their hand and at least submit their nomination papers for the leadership process. That will take time to roll out, but we will get there sooner rather than later.
Despite this shakeup, the party president says the Liberals are in a good position, both financially and from an election readiness standpoint. But the number one priority right now, she says, is selecting a new leader. Terry.
Okay, I just want to back that up for a second because there was something that I thought that we didn't that I want to address here, and I'm like, okay, this person needs to really. I'm just going to put there we go. Okay, so here I'm going to put this on the screen. It's like, if this isn't the best name for a politician I've ever heard in my life, Ashley Power Stack.
Wow.
And she's not a politician per se. She's just, Liberal Party of Newfoundland president. So she's not running for a position, but Ashley Power Stack, that is a badass name.
That is a very, oh my God, that is cool. And
I noticed that right away, but I thought, we'll let the clip finish and I'll come back to it because, wow.
If you're a political geek like me as well, you smiled when you saw Siobhan Cody. Because she used to be a federal MP from Newfoundland. And Siobhan Cody had no problem letting us know what she really thought about things. And I became a very big fan. So glad to see that she's still involved, and she would make a great premier. Absolutely. No doubt. I don't know much about the other candidates, so I can't say that she would make a better premier than any of the others. But from what I know from her federal stint, and if she's still involved and picked up some provincial experience along the way, I think it's been a while since she's been a federal MP. So she probably has more provincial experience by now than federal experience. So I would watch out for her. She could. She has the right type of spiciness for Newfoundland politics. I would say so. Yeah, so she could be really cool. I promised that I would talk to you more, Kits and Kubs, yesterday about the other parts of the debate that we didn't look at yesterday because they talked about climate change and other issues. But something happened after the debate that's actually a whole lot more interesting than those two sections. So I am going to admit right now and confess that I lied to you. I will not be bringing you those things because I'm going to bring you this instead. And I think you might like this a little more. Well, let's put it this way. For the political value, you will like this more. Of course, if you wanted to be more informed about those specific issues, then clearly this won't serve you more. But we will touch on those other things too. I will bring you information. But this, for those of you who have been watching Karina Gould and Mr. Grizzly, the timestamp on this is 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 43 seconds. After the debates, there are scrums where the candidates come to the mic and, try to spin their performance. Now, all the scrums were good, just like all the candidates were pretty much good in the debate, and it was a decent level. But Karina Gould came to the scrum. The only thing I can come up to is the scrum puts an exclamation point on the English debate and the French debate of the night before that she won. And this made it very clear that when I told you all to not underestimate Karina Gould all the weeks ago, this makes it clear that this woman had a plan coming into these debates, and she executed it. And now she is coming to the mic to let you know that she has. And as she's doing that, she's executing it again.
that if he were made Prime Minister, he'd go down and visit the Mexican president.
Yes, it's true. All right, here's Karina Gould.
Global News. You seem to push back more on your colleagues today in English than you did in the French debate. What changed?
Look, this was an easy debate. This is a debate amongst friends, amongst family, amongst Liberals. The real debate against Pierre Poilievre, against Yves-François Blanchet, against Jagmeet Singh, that's going to come in the election. And we need to ensure that whoever is leading our party is debate ready in English and French. And what became clear to me both last night and tonight, that I'm the only person on that stage that is ready to take on the opposition, to fight for Canadians, and to win as a Liberal.
Next question.
Hi, Kyle Duggan at the Canadian Press. Was the carbon tax a bad policy, or was it just marketed badly? And just so we're clear, how long do you think that you would keep it for if you were actually Prime Minister?
So we did not do a good job as a government about talking about the price on pollution. And we allowed Pierre Poilievre to take up space on the price on pollution and, quite frankly, to mislead Canadians. What was really happening was inflation. And we didn't hear Canadians when they were saying to us, I'm having a hard time making ends meet. And Pierre Poilievre got in there and he misled Canadians on the price of pollution. So my plan is to freeze the planned increase, to cancel the planned increase, to ensure that we can give Canadians that break that they need. But I'm not going to take checks away from millions of people who rely on that money. So this is a good policy that does two things. It tackles climate change, it reduces our emissions, and it provides greater affordability for Canadians. So just because Pierre Poilievre says something doesn't mean it's true, and most of the time, it's not.
Next question.
Alex Ballingo with the Toronto Star. I think it was your closing statement. You mentioned conservative light, that the Liberals don't need conservative light. Was that something directed at Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland? And can you expand on what you meant by that being something that the Liberals shouldn't be doing right now?
Look, what we've heard from some of my colleagues is that they are taking some conservative ideas and putting them in their platform. And you know what? That's okay if they're good ideas. But when it comes to some of the stuff that they're putting forward, they're not going to make a meaningful and tangible difference in the lives of Canadians. And Liberals win elections when we are true to Liberal values, when we are bold and ambitious and have a plan and a vision for this country. And so I am proud to be a Liberal. I'm proud to be a Canadian, and I'm not going to compromise my values, compromise my convictions, because I think that's what the polling wants.
Olivia.
Oui. Voilà.
Some of my colleagues have taken on some conservative ideas, and if they're good ideas, that's fine, but it's not about taking conservative ideas because they think that polls will support you. I'm not going to abandon Liberal ideas. I'm proud to be a Liberal. I'm proud of our record as Liberals. We've done many, many things that have improved the lives of Canadians, and Liberals win elections when we are Liberals, when we are true to our values and true to our convictions, and I don't want to change who I am just because the polls say something else.
CBC News. You said during the debate that the Liberals have lost touch with young people. Aren't you helping other parties defeat your government when you're saying things like that?
No, I'm just being honest. Look, one of the things that I think Canadians have been frustrated about, and quite frankly, I've been frustrated about, is like sometimes you just got to say the thing. You just got to say what people are feeling, and you have to be okay to say that. I mean, that's one of the things that I've heard from people is they're like, stop talking about things in policy terms or government terms, talk about them in ways that are meaningful to folks. And if we don't identify the problem and talk about it, we're never going to find the solution. And so for me, it's been a couple of years where I have felt that we have lost touch. But I think what this leadership race offers, I think what my leadership candidacy offers, is an opportunity to reconnect with Canadians, to listen to them, and to make sure that we remain in touch with them. I've always been a grassroots politician. That's what propelled us into office in 2015, and it's what's going to make sure that a new Liberal government is there in 2025.
Bonjour, Madame Gould, Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada.
Laurence
Si vous
Martin,
devenez
Radio-Canada.
Première ministre,
If you become Prime
quel serait
Minister,
votre déficit? Est-ce que vous le gardez
what
à
would
60
your
milliards?
deficit
Est-ce que vous
be?
l'amenez à
Would
40,
it be
20?
at 70 billion? What would the number be? Give us an order of magnitude. I cannot give you a number because we are currently facing the largest challenge. We are facing the biggest challenges, the economic challenge in the history of this country. It could happen in 1 week, and we have to ensure that the federal government is there to support Canadians, either with their economic needs, either by protecting our industries in the face of Trump's tariff threat. So it would not be honest if I were to give you a number right now, because we don't know what we're actually facing. And my commitment to Canadians is to ensure them that I will be fiscally responsible, but I will also protect them. But we're talking about a $70 billion deficit. Do you think that's too high? What are we talking about? Almost $40 billion of that $70 billion is the compensation provided by the federal government to the Indigenous peoples. This is not something that was spent last year. This is going to be spent in the coming years. Now, again, is it honest if you say to say otherwise? I would just like you to comment on spending. I can assure you that our spending will be responsible, but the time to cut is not now. That's Pierre Poilievre's plan, and once again, when we're facing an existential threat to our economy, that is not the time to stop spending public money, but to ensure that there are services and supports in place for Canadians so that we can come out as winners from this war. But we need to have jobs for Canadians when this is all done.
I noticed that you were one of the only people on that stage being the aggressor, specifically going after Mark Carney. What was your strategy behind that tonight in terms of making a mark and going specifically after Mr. Carney?
Look, I pushed all of my colleagues. I pushed Frank when it came to supporting our Canadian Armed Forces. I pushed Chrystia when it came to Indigenous reconciliation and on her record when it comes to the agreements on healthcare with provinces and territories. Again, I said I support those transfers when it comes to healthcare, but we need to ensure that we get a good deal for Canadians and that Canadians have accountability and transparency. And I pushed Mark on his economic ideas because this has to be a debate of ideas. The whole point of this Liberal leadership race is so that Liberals have a chance to see who we are as candidates, to make an informed decision about the vision that we are putting forward. And this is just a test run for the real debate that's going to come in the election. And Pierre Poilievre, Yves-François Blanchet, Jagmeet Singh, they're not going to be nearly as nice as I was. I had kid gloves on this morning, or this evening. You know, when it comes to the real debate, it was very clear to me that last night and tonight, I am the only one of the candidates who's ready to take on those opposition leaders tomorrow if needed.
How?
Oui. Alors, ce soir, j'ai dit que je vais poser des questions difficiles.
I would ask tough questions, and I would push my colleagues, because this leadership race is an opportunity for Liberal Party activists to make a real choice, to know exactly where we are on the major issues of this time, the issues facing Canadians. And I pushed everyone. I pushed Frank on the Canadian Armed Forces. I pushed Chrystia on reconciliation and healthcare, and I pushed Mark on economic issues, because today and yesterday, this was only the beginning. This was only kind of a primary, because I was actually very polite, if you will, compared to Jagmeet Singh and the other opposition leaders. The real debate will come in the election campaign. And what I said yesterday and today is that I'm the only candidate who is prepared to really debate the opposition leaders either in English or French.
It was also the fact that you see the numbers and that there are two presumptive frontrunners right now. And were you trying to make a mark tonight for this final push?
What is very clear is that I am the only candidate who is ready to lead this party into the next election who is ready to take on Pierre Poilievre and win the next election. I have the experience, I have the chops, I have the guts, and I have the capacity to do that. What Liberals are looking for is somebody who can fight and who can win. I have always stood up for Canadians, I will always stand up for Canadians, and I'm going to win us the next election. Thank you.
Well, someone came to play.
Yeah, she's like I said. I do believe that she is the future of the party. In all honesty, I do not believe that she will win. But hey, I could be proven wrong. There were a lot of people that were urged, a lot of conservatives who were urged to sign up, become Liberal Party members, and vote against Mark Carney. So who knows? Everybody says Carney's going to win, and I'm like, nothing is guaranteed.
Nothing's guaranteed. Now, I want you to pay attention to a couple of things, Mr. Grizzly. I just sent you a link where I have 2 images of Karina Gould. And you saw it a little bit at the end, like when she said goodbye at the end, how her voice went up a little bit. But you saw how in the entire thing, she brought her voice down a bit and she's talking. Right? She's presenting. Karina Gould is much younger than Bayliss, Freeland, or Carney. Right? So it's easy for a candidate to be dismissed. Oh, well, yes, you're the next one. Which is why she keeps on saying, I'm running for today, tomorrow, and the future. I was like, yes, you can look, because like, as you say, Mr. Grish, I believe she's the future of the party. He says, yes, I know you're all looking at me as the future of the party. It's like this, but you might want to consider me now.
Well, she's able to present us both as approachable and consequential. This is a rare gift. That's what you tweeted out. And yeah. Like there's on the left.
There's the friendly Karina face that's what everybody knows her, young and fresh and big and smiley and like this. But look at the change in her presentation here in this clip.
Yeah.
Straighter hair, different look in the face, lower her voice a bit, the higher white shirt, like this. Much more poised in her presentation, deliberate, right? Presenting this, I can do this. She's showing you she can do this. She's saying I can do this, and she's showing you doing it, herself doing it, right? Which is amazing. But here's the thing, and it was the thing that I mentioned yesterday. If we are looking at qualifications in terms of having to do things to do with finance, Mark Carney's your guy. But if we do look at those 2 debate performances objectively, in French, Mark Carney is going to be, of the 5 leaders on a national debate stage in a federal general election, the one that is the least comfortable and able to least show personality in French. Objectively. Now look in English. Look at the 4 other leaders. Jagmeet Singh, big personality. Yves-François Blanchet, big personality. Elizabeth May, big personality. Poilievre, personality that can fill 75 football fields. And Mark Carney, a central banker. Now, their contrast between problem with Pierre is that he has way too much personality. No charisma, too much personality, which can be off-putting. And the contrast with someone who's serious and paused like Carney could show up. But on a stage where 4 people have a lot of personality and you don't, and you're punching through, when Karina Gould says that, she had kid gloves on here. She's saying, I have other levels. You saw me push Carney a little bit here, but that was friendly among friends. So I can push if it needs to get there. We need to be ready. Well, of the 4 that we saw, who's the best communicator? Who's the best communicator in English? Who's the best communicator in French? Who's the one who presents the best overall? Who's the one that has the most attractive, engaging personality? It's all her. It's all her. if we're fighting to get attention and fighting to punch through and fighting to have a message and fight, it's her. She has those natural abilities. So a lot of people might want to think. It's like Mark Carney has all the stuff on paper, absolutely, like this, and scrums one-on-one, But Pierre is a seminal politician. Blanchette is a seminal politician. May is a seminal. Singh. These people have been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
When Canadians are going to be tuning in to the federal debates, I know that we have Carney Fear here, but Carney is not the one that's going to be shining on those nights.
I hear what you're saying. I don't.
In terms of ability to be populist style presentation, able to say things in an animated way or in a dynamic way that will catch your attention. He does not have the advantage on any of those metrics.
No, but he is vastly more intelligent than Pierre Poilievre.
Oh, absolutely, and that's
more
what I'm saying.
knowledgeable about every single subject. Right?
So that's what I'm saying. It depends on the public mood, right?
Mm-hmm.
The public mood says, we just want a freaking adult in the room, and we don't care about the rest. Carney's your guy. Like this.
Well, Poilievre has blown a 30-point lead simply by the Liberals no longer having Justin Trudeau in position.
But then the next phase of the dynamic, though, is Carney and Poilievre head to head, side by side, punching, and we're not seeing a lot of that there. And if Carney doesn't find some dynamism in some way, Pierre's going to smother him like a wet blanket.
Well, only because Pierre does not debate. He is like Ben Shapiro. No. He yells, he speaks in slogans. Yes. He has nothing. He brings nothing to an actual debate.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Shapiro's debate me, and I'm like, I've seen people actually debate him and wipe the floor with him because he doesn't debate. He yells, he posts facts, he says stuff, and when he doesn't like it, he leaves. And I've seen him do that.
Yep.
Poilievre is the same. Oh, you're fake news. You're CBC paid for the Trudeau Liberals. That is not how you do things, Skippy.
So, I watched her come to that mic and her present that way. It was like she knew going in to that French debate she was most comfortable in French. She knew going in.
Oh, yes.
I guess. And she did her debate interventions the second night, showing that she would be the one to roll up sleeves and push against people, that kind of stuff. And then comes to the mic and says, out of everyone there in both official languages, I am the one, as you have all seen clearly, because you're all talking about it on your shows, who is the best prepared to take everybody on now.
Mm-hmm.
She is right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, she may not have the policy sets or the policy chops or whatnot like this, but on everything that's camera, showmanship, retail politics side of it, everything like this, she's the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Mark Carney, sees that and starts doing intensive lessons with her over the next couple of weeks, because that would certainly help. Like this, but he needs a lot more of what she's got. He's got all the other stuff, but he needs what she's got.
She could win the whole thing.
If people were willing
Freeland could
to
win
take
the
that
whole
shot.
thing too, if the amount of conservatives, and I use that term very loosely. They're not conservatives; they're reformers. They're convoy people. Like if the amount of convoyers who signed up for liberal leadership, liberal memberships, actually became liberal members because there's criteria one must meet.
Mm-hmm.
If you signed up and you became a liberal member and you're voting, perhaps a lot of them may vote for Chrystia Freeland because they figure that's the only way to clear a path for Poilievre because, again, she was tied to Justin Trudeau for so long.
Right.
So that's entirely a possibility. Or they might just say, well, I don't even know who Karina Gould is. Let's vote for her. They're not even paying attention. They're just going to vote. They're trying to vote against somebody. How many of them signed up? We don't know. We have no idea. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Who knows? And again, I've seen the criteria to sign up. It's pretty stringent. You first off, you must be a Canadian citizen and have proof of Canadian citizenship. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Unlike, I think the Conservatives are like, anybody anywhere in the world can sign up, which doesn't. I don't know if that's true, but it certainly seemed like it in the last leadership convention. Just saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You also had to
showing up saying, look at all these ballots for Polyev. I'm like,
Yes.
did you open them and look through them?
I know.
Because if you didn't do that, you don't know who those are for. And if you know who they're for, we've got a problem.
Yeah. All of that was weird. So yeah. Karina Gould, woman with a plan, executed the plan, knew exactly what she was going to say in that English scrum post-debate, and worked backwards to do all the things that needed to be done for her to be able to show up in front of that mic and say that and have people go, damn. The former director of communications for Trudeau actually called that scrum a masterclass. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the person who spoke in front of that mic is someone I would vote for.
Oh,
Who spoke to me in that way, in that tone, with that calm, that poise, that control, that like, I would vote for that. Who made a case based on things that I saw and heard with my own eyes that actually relates and is tethered to reality. I would vote for that.
Mm-hmm.
So whether she's the present, whether she's the future, she's doing more than just making a strong case for herself. In any normal time where you weren't like looking, oh my God, we need this savior, whatnot like this, she would be leading this.
I have some good news for you right now, sir.
Okay.
Which is, it's about the Ontario election. Person just says, I'm lined up today to vote out Doug Ford, and there's already a lineup of about 70 people at Ottawa City Hall, all age ranges. So
Good.
people are turning out already. It's 9 a.m. This is good.
This is good.
This is good.
This is good. Keep it up. Keep it up. Like I said, even though the polls don't show, and even though the news are not reporting like this, there could be a possibility that so many people are just fed up and just stay checked out of the entire election and are going to show up and vote a minority. I'm microdosing hope here. It is a possibility because the NDP vote has dropped enough that it could open extra liberal seats, that they might be able to slide up the middle in a couple of three-way races here and there in certain districts. So like a 2% chance maybe of a minority outcome. But you know what? That is what I'm going to hope for. But if we are looking at everything, it seems to be pointing to another, maybe not overwhelming majority, but solid.
It's not
majority.
a foregone conclusion, but it could be.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. It's where the votes are
concentrated
concentrated too, right?
What if more people turn up to vote this time?
Right. That they just had enough over the last few, and they said, you know what? What if they decided like a year and a half ago, so I don't care, next opportunity, I'm just voting them out and I'm not listening to anything anymore.
And I think there are a lot of people who feel that way. They're like, no, I'm voting against him, period, because what he did to the Science Center, what he did to the Greenbelt, all of the scandals, the RCMP. We don't need any more of this. It's time for him to go. So a lot of people aren't voting in a new government. They're voting out the existing one.
He personally is unpopular.
Yeah.
So that's the only, like, and there's nothing that has happened over the course of this election campaign to make him more popular. So I mean, he even ditched the folksy stuff. So like I said, fingers crossed, at least a minority. But like I said, this is probably some nuclear grade coping. For those of you who like to watch the show and go, look at you liberals crying like this one year. I'm a liberal crying. Okay, there you go.
You're not going to get liberal tears from me because I'm not a liberal. I have to keep telling people that. They go, oh, you're a liberal cuck. Not a liberal.
Anybody who doesn't think like me is a liberal, remember.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The definitions and meanings of words are very fluid and whatnot to certain demographics.
That crowd.
Yes. So just like you can't. They show up, they watch it, we hope they learn something by osmosis. But we do not try to change them because they are as they are, and we love you just the way you are. Now change. All right. One last little bit of news that we are we have been talking about it, and we mentioned it very briefly in various other ways, but we're going to go into it just a little bit because there's this guy from the Alberta UCP who we mentioned was the first to come out and say that Adrian LaGrange should probably go. And I'm guessing that didn't go over very well inside. Now, they didn't really kick him out because apparently he resigned. But yes, his name is Pete Guthrie. He resigned. But the thing is that when you resign, there's resigning, and then there's resigning while leaving a parting gift. And Mr. Guthrie left a parting gift.
Oh.
And this could cause a little bit of trouble. So from Don Braid, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, from the Calgary Herald. Peter Guthrie didn't just quit cold as Alberta Infrastructure Minister Tuesday. He left a basket of rattlesnakes on the desk. The ex-minister hinted at grave problems with contracts and procurements across government. He says he left because he raised these issues, quote, but the majority of cabinet does not appear to share my concerns. In recent months, I have voiced concerns regarding the government of Alberta's procurement practices across all departments. Whoa. He's suggesting that the trouble we've already heard about is just the beginning, tip of the iceberg, and the handy cliche I've heard from more than one player. Again, Mr. Bread, if you are an opinion columnist and your beat is the Alberta UCP, and this strikes you as a surprise, and we over here from Kingston and Ottawa are not shocked at all to learn that this type of behavior might actually be pervasive throughout all types of contracting processes. But you didn't foresee this being a possibility until just now. May I say you might have a serious lack of imagination?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Guthrie tossed this into the mess of allegations from former AHS boss Athana Mentzelopoulos about questionable contracts for private clinic surgeries. Also bubbling is the huge cost of undelivered Turkish acetaminophen, including $28 million paid after hospitals were told to stop using it for safety reasons. So the hospitals were told to stop using it, but the checks still went out to pay for it. You'd think that if the order went out to stop using it, that people would stop paying for it because it can't be used. But not in Alberta. Okay. The slow burn crisis began last spring when some ministers, including Guthrie himself, accepted free Stanley Cup skybox seats from one of the central figures, MHCare Medical, and its CEO, Sam Raish. So Guthrie did accept the skybox tickets. So he's not clean as a whistle. But he has gone and left a basket of rattlesnakes, so clearly the light went on at some point. Marshall Smith, Premier Daniel Smith's former chief of staff, whom Mentzelopoulos accused of pressuring her over surgery contracts, had his say on Tuesday. Quote, the procurement of services is a function that happens deep in the public service, he said in a statement. Not by political staff or any rank as a political staffer. I had no authority to enter into contracts on behalf of the government. Yeah, you probably had no authority to sign or enter other, but you there were directives that came from above that said that the fees that will be included in the contract that you will sign will be these.
Mm-hmm.
that number was not chosen by AHS staff. It came in a directive. So yes, why the AHS staff writes and signs and negotiates the contract with the other person, if the minister says, yeah, but one of the terms of the contracts are going to be these, and you will do that, that part is not a negotiation now, is it? And I don't think that the people at AHS are supposed to be negotiating with the own minister.
Well, no.
As to how much we're going to be paying or overpaying for things. I'm sure that when the person read their job description, negotiating on the price of care services with the minister was not in there. Just sorry, was that a little bitchy, Mr. Chrisley? I just saw you giggle. So yeah. Adding that he's glad to cooperate with investigations, Marshall Smith said he's unable to file a formal response to Metsalopoulos' suit because he's not named as a defendant. Guthrie threw away $60,000 a year on Tuesday. That's what cabinet ministers are paid above the regular MLA salary of $121,000. He gave up the loot, the status, the staff, the office, everything that many backbench MLAs strive for and never get. This raised the question, is he fleeing the scene of a major accident that hasn't quite happened yet? This is the guy who was one of Danielle Smith's biggest boosters for the UCP leadership, but he has a history of bucking the system earned when he fiercely opposed the former premier, Jason Kenney. Some people in government say that if he's aware of something corrupt, and it sounds like he is, he should have stayed and faced up to it instead of quitting. Just last week, but he only had quit cabinet. He didn't quit UCP caucus. So just note that the people say, "Oh, you quit." He only quit cabinet, not the caucus. So he can still influence caucus and say something at the meetings unless caucus decides that they're kicking him out, or the premier is. So he's still staying where he needs to be in order to be able to do stuff. So that's not actually a fair criticism right there. Just last week, he sent a memo to cabinet saying Health Minister Adriana Lagrange should be transferred to another portfolio. Wow, he's being nice. Transfer her to another portfolio. How about leave her with no portfolio? Thank you so much. Until such time as we find this out. Along with the new AHS head, Andre Tremblay, pending investigation of Metsalopoulos' allegations. So not only the minister should go, but the person that Danielle Smith took away a deputy minister file for in order to make him the one-person entire AHS board. Like this, by bringing another one of our deputy ministers to take over his spot. Like this, he wants him gone too, after all Danielle Smith did to keep him in place and create a sort of legal wall, which is not a thing. But he wants him gone too. So yeah, I'm sure that didn't make Danielle too happy. The memo became public very soon. So did the news that Guthrie's own department had bought property for, oh yes, this was one part we hadn't reported to you actually, soon after Danielle Smith had that press conference where she blamed everything on AHS. Very soon did news that Guthrie's own department had bought property for $300,000 more than it sold just for 3 months earlier, involving a company with the same association. Yes, it seems the company that is involved with all this stuff that got lots of money bought a property for 3 months, held it for 3 months, and then sold it to the government for a $300,000 profit after owning it for just 3 months. Yeah, that's probably got to come up later. There were horse laughs around the inner circle Guthrie had stepped in after. There were horse laughs around the inner circle that Guthrie had stepped in his own mess after insulting Lagrange and challenging the premier's decision to keep her on because, his department bought this. That in turn led to suspicion that the property sale story was planted in revenge, although it emerged via work from independent journalist Charles Rusnell. Premier Smith quickly accepted Guthrie's resignation Tuesday. He has obviously expressed concerns regarding the allegations made by the former CEO of Alberta Health Services, she said in a statement. That makes it sound like he has problems with the things that she said rather than he's in agreement. I don't think he expressed concerns regarding the allegation. I believe he shared concerns that were expressed around the allegations. Interesting little flip of those words there by Danielle to make it seem that he had concerns about the allegations rather than he had the same concerning allegations.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same thing. Quote, as I have said repeatedly, those allegations are seriously and are being fully investigated. We have pledged our government's full cooperation and support to the Auditor General to expedite his review so we can have answers as soon as possible that we want him to give directly to us so that we can make them go away. She didn't say out loud. Guthrie did refer to AHS in his farewell note, but his main concern was for the whole purchasing system. Quote, as Minister of Infrastructure, I had line of sight into these processes and took steps to address inconsistencies and recommended improvements, he wrote. He wanted a central financial oversight committee to review all major government contracts. And I guess, considering everything that's going on right now, those two involuntary treatment care facilities, I guess there will be a contract to build those two. And do we really want her anywhere around that contract or that process? This particular government? No. That was never approved, the Financial Oversight Committee, he says, but, quote, if implemented, such a committee could have been instrumental in preventing some of the issues we are now seeing in Alberta Health and AHS. Infrastructure is only one of two line departments, along with transportation, that handle procurement and contracts in-house. Alberta Health is now joining that club. Every year they spent hundreds of $1 million on numerous deals. Now Guthrie quits while telling us he tried to get things fixed. What exactly is he so anxious to leave behind?
No kidding.
Asks Mr. Braid in that context. And when he cited concerns here, he posted a statement to social media, and he said, dear constituents, early this morning I resigned my position as Alberta's Minister of Infrastructure. During my time serving in both the infrastructure and energy portfolios, I had the privilege of working alongside dedicated, high-caliber professionals who strive every day to improve the quality of life for Albertans. I am proud to have been part of such strong teams, and I deeply appreciate the support I received from each one of them. Their expertise and leadership will be invaluable in onboarding the next minister. In recent months, I have voiced concerns regarding the Government of Alberta's procurement practices across all departments. As Minister of Infrastructure, I had line of sight into these processes and took steps to address inconsistencies and recommended improvements as part of my fiduciary duty. This included introducing Bill 13 and proposing a financial oversight committee to review and advise on major government contracts. If implemented, such a committee could have been instrumental in preventing some of the issues we are now seeing in Alberta Health and AHS. Unfortunately, the majority of cabinet does not appear to share my concerns. For this reason, I've decided to step down and return to caucus as a private member, where I can continue to voice my concerns and hold cabinet accountable with honesty and integrity. It is essential that the public has confidence in its government and its processes. We were elected to be open, transparent, fiscally responsible, and above all, honest with Albertans. As MLA for Airdrie Cochrane, I thank you for your support, and I look forward to continuing to serve Albertans. The last time we saw somebody do this, I believe it was also with a provincial conservative government. And I believe it was the former Minister of Health of New Brunswick, Dorothy Shepherd, who, while Blaine Higgs was talking, wrote on a little piece of paper, like something like, I can't do this no more, I quit, and left it as she walked out. And what happened after that? It was a slow and steady downfall of the New Brunswick Conservatives, such that we have now Majority Premier Susan Holt of the Liberal Party. And Blaine Higgs is out of politics altogether. Please let history rhyme. Please let it be that the resignation in this way of a cabinet minister from the Alberta UCP government will have the same eventual impact as the resignation of Dorothy Shepherd from the progressive, allegedly conservative government of Blaine Hill Higgs in New Brunswick. But yeah, when a cabinet minister leaves a provincial government on a point of principle, at least as recent history says, it usually is the first step in the fall of that government. Please let it be so. Because if this government is spending money the way that Athana Metsalopoulos is claiming they are, there's not going to be much left very soon for the citizens of Alberta, the residents of Alberta. Whew. Big stuff, and that's just one thing. That extra $300,000 property thing. There's like more stuff coming, like every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a drip of a new small little scandal news. Oh, well, we have to look into that too. And look at this is. Danielle Smith may be an Olympic level skater, political skater, but your legs can only cross cut so fast. It's gonna it very much looks like this kind of stuff is going to catch up with it's got to catch up with someone. There's just too much. There's just too much. And if that type of contracting was standard operating procedure, especially with anything having to do with infrastructure, it's not going to be good. I there's some people that might want to refamiliarize themselves with what happened to the Grant Devine government in Saskatchewan. Eventually. We might be seeing some of that again here. Again, maybe it's completely all above board. But there are a lot of people moving a lot of wind and saying a lot of words for something that should be completely above board. Something that's completely above board doesn't require this much talking to explain. So yeah, stay tuned, kids. There's something going on with the conservative brand, man. Nationally, Ford, weird stuff. Smith, weird stuff. Pierre, weird stuff. Wow. All of them sort of wanting to cater to Trump and Elon. Just weird stuff. And hopefully the bottom is falling out of the brand. Hopefully the bottom's falling out of the brand, because this is. So I try to be optimistic, and I'm trying to give you hope, kits and cubs, and I'm trying to show avenues, but this is dark and scary stuff. I won't lie to you. All right, but we got to hold on hope, because the first thing that they hope, that side hopes, is that we give up. And we just decide it's not worth it, or we just decide for ourselves that we can't win, so we take ourselves out of the game. Like this. The defiance is patriotism. Okay? Be defiant. Do we have a show, Mr. Grizzly?
We do indeed, sir.
Right. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. It means the world to us when you do. Thank you. If you do not want to miss an episode, for example, in podcast version, that QR code that just appeared on the screen is sponsored by the Ray Girl and will bring you to our pod page. And if you're listening, that's podpage.com/thetruenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you go there and click subscribe, boom, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. It's that simple. There you go. If you'd like to help us in other ways, Kits and Cubs, go down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page where Kits, Cassie, and Elaine are waiting for you and urging you to click our buttons, like, share, and subscribe, as 13,000 of you have already. Thank you so much. It helps us very much with the algorithm, and we appreciate that support. Pardon me, as you could tell from my voice, I have to cough.
Go ahead and do that. I'll be waiting here in the wings.
There we go. If you would like to help us in yet another way, for example, by helping us underwrite the financial costs to bring this show to you, because, there are subscription fees and internet fees and other types of things that we take on in order to bring it to you, well, we would be very grateful for your help. You can do that by making a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund, where we keep Mr. Beaver well stocked in hot chocolate, because the show doesn't get made without hot chocolate. Tell you, just that first sip, yum, 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 yum. So if you would like to keep your beaver moist with hot chocolate, does that work? I'm not sure. But anyway, let's say in our little world it does. Then you need to go down to our coffee page, where you will also be able to keep our Mr. Grizzly moist with dark coffee, with a little contribution to our hydration fund. We appreciate it very much. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, don't worry. Oh, by the way, that's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver if you want to do that. But if you're not able, don't worry about it, because the gifts of your attention and your participation are the ones that matter the most of us. And we do love to hear from you. So please write to us. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. And because we are 100% Canadian, if you want your donation dollar to also travel through a 100% Canadian route and make sure that 100% of it does get to us without going through PayPal or any American-owned CE bro, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is where you can send a direct transfer. It's 100% Canadian, just like us. Now, if you want to let us know what you think about the show, in addition to our email address, our Blue Sky Beaver Lodge @TrueEager at the Bad Place, also True Eager, our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver, or right down below in the comments section if you're watching live here on YouTube or deferred, let us know what you think. Thank you very much. We try to read everything, but everything does help make the show better. We take it all into account, because democracy is something that you do. Okay, Quebec Liberals, you got a leadership race going on there. Canadian Liberals, voting period has started. Apparently 25,000 people have voted on the first day. So as the Liberal Party reports, so get your votes in there if you've seen enough already. If you are in Manitoba, you have a by-election coming up in one of your provincial ridings, so look up on that. And of course, today, the most important thing, if you are in Ontario, vote, 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 vote. Bring someone with you. Encourage people. Go talk about voting. If people are going, I don't know to go. What do you mean you're not? Like, get out there and vote.
Here's why you need to vote, and I cannot stress this nearly enough. The corruption level of the Ford government. They like to say that they're good fiscal plans, except for the fact that if you look at this article, opencouncil.ca, Ford government is spending $525 to $675 million on Therm Spa to get up to $380 to $580 million in value back, if and only if it is successful for 95 years. This is a money-losing venture, and we're paying for it in Ontario.
Indeed. Indeed.
Vote that man out. Kill that contract. Get rid of Starlink. Stop wasting our money.
Yeah. So if you're in Ontario, polls opened 33 minutes ago, so you can vote as of now. The polls will close at 9 p.m. So, and then I think I will do. I'll pop in to do a small live little hit as the results are coming in this evening. So it will not be before 9 p.m. right, our time. I'll program it a little, but stay tuned. And Mr. Grizzly, if you want to join in, but I also know it's late. If you're off, that's fine. I don't think I will, unless it's a quick result. I might not stay until the absolute end result, but we'll pop in for a little bit and check in and do a little bit of live results watching together, kids and cubs. If you would like to join me, I would love the pleasure of your company. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for the kids and cubs?
Yeah, just get out and vote. Make sure you cast a ballot today to help your friends, neighbors, family members, your community. Vote for the person who will do the best for you and your community. Don't think about just yourself when you're voting. Think about others. It's important to do that.
Now, before we go, kids and cubs, there's a couple of announcements here for people who might be interested in these types of subjects. Later this morning, representatives from the vulnerable Canadian multicultural community organizations involved with the Canadian Coalition for a Foreign Interference Transparency Registry, as well as senior officials with the Human Rights Coalition and unnamed MPs from various federal parties, will urge the government, quote, to help prevent foreign authoritarian regimes from influencing and manipulating Canada's democracy by expediting the implementation of the Foreign Influence Registry before the 2025 federal election, ensuring reporting mechanisms are confidential and multilingual, and safeguarding party nomination processes and leadership campaigns against the threats posed by foreign authoritarian regimes. That will happen at 11 a.m. For those of you interested in some Indigenous history, Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Gary Anandan Sangari will travel to Arctic Bay to deliver, on behalf of the government, a formal apology to Inuit families impacted by the Dundas Harbor relocations between 1934 and 1948. And that will happen at 2 p.m. Over there. So just wanted to make sure that you knew of those things, because they were important little announcements for things that are very meaningful to certain groups. If you're part of any of those diaspora groups who are being affected by whatever other nations are doing to interfere with your right to live peacefully as a Canadian here and vote for whomever you would want here. This would be something that would be very much of interest to you. And of course, if you care about reconciliation and making past things right, the second announcement will very much matter to you. So I wanted to bring you those two things. The other thing as well, I missed it on the day, but I saw in the chat that Kit Jazzy, had a callback for musical for the alumni in the program she was in before. So I hope your callback went well. Please, miss, if you have any news, let us know how it panned out, because I would be very, very happy. And tomorrow, if we are going to do our dance thing, Kit Dan said if we hit $250 in donations, he will dance in a muumuu, and if we hit 1,000, he will do it in a dress.
Okay, good to know.
So a little pre-motivation so that you can search your sofa cushions for extra coinage.
Well, so here's the thing: if we hit the goals, I can't. Saturday night, I have a prior engagement, so I wouldn't be able to do it this Saturday. We could plan it for the following Saturday.
All right.
Because this Saturday I have a prior engagement, so I'm not available this Saturday evening. But we'll see what we do. See what we can have. We haven't discussed goals or anything yet, so we'll worry about that when the time comes.
It's Saturday night dancing. All right, Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. I was going to call you Mr. Bear there before I left off.
Sure, why not? I'm wearing a hound's tooth, so I want to show you something here because for those of you who might not be aware, there's a major measles outbreak taking place in Texas right now. And a child recently succumbed to the disease, which is completely preventable with vaccination. The child was not vaccinated and as a result perished. But this is a political cartoon I saw earlier that I thought I would share with everybody. I'm going to put it on the screen now. Uncover the news to me. And I think this sums it up quite well. It's a young couple with their child, and their child is covered in measles, and the doctor is pointing to the back of the child saying, if you connect the measles, it spells out, my parents are idiots.
Jeez.
Completely preventable disease.
Yes.
All you got to do is vaccinate your children.
Yeah. And with regard to that, Dr. Sarah Wilson of Public Health Ontario is quoted as saying, it is very dramatic to see the large number of cases and to see how quickly they're accumulating. This measles outbreak represents the largest number of measles cases that we've experienced in Ontario since measles was declared eliminated from Canada in 1998. So we got something going on up here too. The outbreak is concentrated in the outbreak is concentrated in southwestern Ontario, mainly among people who are not vaccinated. Dr. Malcolm Locke, who's the acting medical officer of health for Grant Erie Public Health, says the outbreak in his region happened after a group from Ontario traveled to New Brunswick for a gathering where an infected person had picked up a virus abroad, and there was an outbreak in New Brunswick as well, if you remember. Quote, it's not a disease which we can consider is very mild. In some cases, there are nasty complications, particularly in children, upper respiratory problems, pneumonia, and in some cases, meningitis and encephalitis. And there's currently another little outbreak in the Laurentians of 28 cases. So please do, if you have an opportunity, get vaccinated. There was a lot of vaccinations that did not happen during the COVID period. And while vaccination rates are relatively high still, they're still too low for us to be in that herd immunity. Like it could be just like by 5 or 6%, but it's enough to have this happen. So please do that. And one gentle correction on myself. The other day when I was speaking about that CBC Cross Canada checkup special that kind of flopped, I was criticizing the choice of Arlene Dickinson, because as just being one other person from CBC along with Kevin O'Leary that was there. What I had forgotten, and that was my bad, is that Arlene Dickinson was actually named to the Canada-US Council by the Prime Minister to the change. So she was not there just as someone from CBC, but someone that actually had some skin in the game in some way from being involved in the process. And I had missed that. So issuing the correction on myself. All right.
I just want to read something to you very quickly from Rick Taylor. This is on the Twitter. Rick Taylor is a former Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate from Ohio, still fighting to rebuild a coalition of the working class. We can reassert our power and improve our lives. And this is what he had to say. And pay attention, because this is important, folks. The United States has 4% of the world's population. The United States had 20% of COVID deaths due to incompetence. Buckle up. We haven't seen anything yet.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And happy birthday to Kit Nona Carroll's grandson, who's 6 today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right. Go vote.